Good morning, everybody.
Okay, then I still have to think to this. Should I also post it in?
Wake up. Wake up, wake up. In Provincetown. This week featuring Wake up, wake up. Can I have some coffee? Wake up, wake up. Make it strong, please. Hey! Oh! Hey! Wake up, wake up! Oh. No, really, can I have some coffee? Wake up, wake up! Wake up, wake up!
Harry act. This is my new drag name, Harry act.
Wake up, wake up!
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's Friday, February 23rd.
Yeah. It's a beautiful day in Provincetown. It's warm-ish for the first time in a very long time.
Above 40.
Yeah, the snow we got last Monday is finally melting off the driveway, which is very nice.
Did we get snow last Monday, or was that 2 weeks ago?
Not this past Monday, the Monday before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Which usually doesn't stick around in Provincetown that long.
We got like 6 inches or something that day.
Yeah.
It was a lot for here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice and warm. When we come back after the little tape segment, I'm going to tell you when low tide is and whether or not you should go clamming today.
Work.
Also, it's going to rain later this afternoon.
Oh.
Forecast for early to late afternoon
So
time.
the snow will definitely be gone.
Probably.
Yeah. We've got a really great show for you today. Bob hung out with Ron Robin a few days ago over at the old Spindler space, which is currently going to be the new Mews space. Big news.
Beloved pillar of the community,
Yeah.
Ron Robin, and very good friend of Wake Up in Provincetown and my own personal friend.
Yeah.
I always love talking to Ron. And you know what's funny?
He's a good talker.
I have to say thank you to our friend Susan Tran, who worked at NBC 10 in Boston for a long, long time. She was the camera person for the Ron Robin interview. So when you notice like camera tricks that we don't usually do with an iPhone, that was Susan.
Yeah, she was
Thank
great.
you, Susan.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Susan's like taping us, and Ron's very soft-spoken. And Susan was like, cut. Ron, you're really soft. Can you just, project a little? And I was like, Ron, do the radio voice. And she goes, what does that mean? I was like, you don't know that Rockin' Ron Robin was on the radio for decades. And Susan, TV person, was like, you're a radio person? And then they suddenly like loved each other
Just
even
a room
more.
full of professionals. You, Ron, and Susan.
Well, Ron and Susan. And I was there too.
Yeah.
It was so cute.
We also have Sophie coming in. She's a reporter for the Provincetown Independent. Like we said a few weeks ago, we're going to be doing kind of a partnership with them where every few weeks we're going to have one of their reporters on to just give like a face to the byline, I guess. And she's going to be coming in. We're mainly going to talk about what I like to call, I don't think she would call it this, but the Truro Part-Time Resident Taxpayers Association voter fraud scandal.
What does she
my
call
words,
it?
not hers. I think she uses something a little less salacious.
We'll ask her when she gets here.
Exactly. Really excited to talk to her about that because we've been talking about that a lot over the past few months, and she knows more than anyone. Yeah, we've had her on before to talk about what were they called? The emergency abortion.
Oh,
The trucks that were bad.
That were trying to like trick you into going into them.
So messed up. But we're so happy to have her back. That's really exciting. Yeah. I had a good week.
You did?
Did you have a good week?
I had a really, really busy, spectacular week.
Tell me about your Valentine's weekend, President's Day weekend.
Yeah, so everybody last weekend was a holiday weekend. Town was like jam-packed. Friday after the show, I went to Kelly's barbecue pop-up.
How was it?
Nice hog at the Crown and Anchor. Slammed.
Work.
Like everyone was there. They were supposed to be open 4 days or 3 days, and I think they ran out of food Saturday, so they didn't even do Sunday. Wow. So if you want to get your barbecue on, I would go tonight.
Make a reservation early in the weekend.
Yeah, make a reservation and go. And last weekend there was a vegetarian option that was like, I was like, oh, that's whatever. But all week long he's been working on like deep fried tofu, like a crispy barbecue tofu. So the vegetarian option this weekend is going to be way better than the one that was available last weekend.
Awesome.
I had the ribs. You just can't get ribs in Provincetown.
No. I mean, you can't really get barbecue in Provincetown.
Yeah.
I know people always tell me, I've never been, but there's Candlepin Bowling in Orleans, and people say the barbecue there is phenomenal, but much happier to not have to drive a half an hour or pretend I like candlepin bowling.
Yeah, candlepin is fraudulent. That's a Truro scandal. That's a New Orleans scandal, candlepin bowling. I think it's like exclusive to New England or something.
Probably. I definitely played when I was younger because the balls are smaller. And when I was younger, they were easier to
But
throw.
the pins it's almost impossible to get a strike.
Because the ball's so small, right?
Because the pins are like candle
Oh,
pins.
so skinny.
Yeah, it's like, listen, put in comments whether you prefer real bowling or candlepin bowling. That is not me leading the witness, but there's real bowling and candlepin bowling.
I just don't like anything I can't put my fingers in, you know?
Okay. Sam, shame on you. It's going to be that kind of show today.
It's
Ethan.
always that kind of show.
Oh, boy. Okay, so I did that on Friday. Sunday night was the anti-Valentine's Day show with the Governor Bradford, hosted by Mahogany Sapphire. And it was, I've never seen so many people sitting down in the Governor Bradford. We got there and I was like, is this like, this is sold out. I've seen a lot of people standing in there, like for karaoke or Space Pussy or whatever, but like every seat, wherever you stood to try to watch the show, you felt like you were blocking somebody, which is great attendance.
Yeah, I love that.
I know.
I also love the theme of that show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just, I did a slow song, but there was like lots of up tempo. It was just a really fun night.
I was out of town for Sunday night, but I was trying to think of what, if I were to have done a show like that, what I would have sang. And there were so many good ideas that I had, but I think I would have gone with Liability by Lorde. Do you know that song, Ethan? Yeah. Good, sad. Yeah. But it's so...
Do you know it?
The only reason I would be kind of... not embarrassed to do it, it's a very woe is me, no one likes me, and as much as like, yes, that's true, I don't want anyone to know that I feel that way. So it'd be like, oh, I don't relate to this song at all, but I relate to that song.
Well, I did Alone Again Naturally by Gilbert O'Sullivan, which is a very, like, I'm going to climb to the top of this tower and throw myself off. It's so over the top and melodramatic. And yet, like, when it came out, I'm sure people took it very seriously. It was like a huge hit in the 70s. Very, very sad song. But I tried to do it in a fun way. People laughed, people cried. We all had a good time.
Yeah, you should have done like Fighter by Christina Aguilera.
I would love to see somebody else do that. I can't sing like that.
That's okay.
Like Christina Aguilera?
Yeah, you just yell.
Anywho, that was Sunday. Monday night, I finally got to go to the Painted Lady for dinner.
Oh, no way. How
Have
was
you been
it?
yet?
No.
You haven't been?
No.
I love it.
Did you get the umami burger? Is umami
There's
burger?
a miso burger.
Miso burger, that's what it is.
No, Susan and I shared the pork belly. I had the duck confit, and she and Peter had the chicken. And it was really, really delicious.
I'm a sucker for a duck confit. Was it good?
Oh my God.
Ooh, I'll have to check
like
that
melt
out.
in your mouth. And then we shared a pot de creme for dessert. I love any sort of like
pot de creme. Is that a creme brulee with no brulee?
Kind of.
Okay.
It's like a soft, creamy, chocolatey dessert.
Ooh,
sort of like what do you call it?
Souffle.
No,
custard.
Mousse, but creamier.
Ooh.
Less moussey.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just go. The Painted Lady is on Friday, Tuesday. It's super, super delicious. Not light. Like duck confit, it's like nice, hearty winter food. So satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was your week?
My week was really great. After Friday, I got together. After the show on Friday, I worked a little here at the brewery. I'm here Friday during the day, every day. Lately, it's been a little mellow here. So if you like working from home and you like hanging out with me, come see me on Fridays. I'm just hanging out at the bar. It's always fun. We always have like 5 to 10 people in here. A lot of people working, but it's really cute.
What time do you open?
We open at noon. Yeah. But after that, I watched Drag Race with a few friends. I think it's because I've watched now 16 seasons of regular Drag Race, 100 of All Stars. Like, I watched so much of it. I really have to be convinced to enjoy the season. I always go into it a little skeptical. And last week's episode, I was like, okay, I'm liking this.
Finally.
Yeah. It was the Rusical. It was a spoof on Sound of Music. And it was really, really good. Yeah. And their personalities are kind of shining through a little more. But I think I'm liking this season.
The right person went home?
Yes. I feel like after the first few weeks, you see who's rising to the top and who isn't. And you're like, okay, I'm like, these are the 4 girls that we need to get out of here. And as long as one of those girls goes home, I'm like, and not that they're bad or anything. They're great, very talented. But when you're competing against people like Sophie or Cristal, it's tough.
Who is your top 3?
Nymphia Wind, I think, she
nods from the room.
So talented, so sweet, has a really cool perspective. There's never been an Asian queen win, so I think it would be amazing if they were to win. Sophia Christel's doing phenomenally, and then there's probably 3 or 4 other girls that I think are going to be fighting for the last couple spots in the top 4, 3, or whatever they end up doing.
How many episodes are there left?
A billion.
So it doesn't end until like April?
No.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain last year ended in the beginning of May. Like it started in January. Like I think it goes for months.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Like a regular TV show.
Months. Yeah, but I'm into it. I'm also watching UK versus the World, the 2nd season. I saw the cast come out and I was like, dubs.
Really?
But then there were like 5 or 6 girls that I didn't know because they were from international seasons I didn't watch. And now that I watch it, all the girls from the international seasons I didn't know are like some of the best drag queens I've ever seen in my life.
Where are they from?
There's one from France who's really impressing me. There's a couple from Spain that are really incredible. Just really, really, really good stuff.
A French drag queen.
Yeah. But tonight is the legendary Snatch Game. We're going to see how that is. If you want to watch last week's episode that I really enjoyed, you can watch it right here at the brewery where we call it the pit stop. It's 2 hours before the new episode where we aired the last week's episode. Come here. So we do $10 pulled pork sandwiches that are phenomenal. Nikki really put them together amazing. And then after you're done eating and watching last week's episode, you scoot on over to watch it with Mackenzie and Austin. And I think Delta is the special guest this week.
Fun.
Yeah. It looks like they have such a huge, big, fun crowd.
It's the show. It's not just watching TV.
Yeah.
They're doing numbers.
Yeah,
They're
people
performing.
perform. It's incredible. Yeah.
I might have to make a foray into town.
Yeah, I'm going to have to pick one night this season to go out to the Crown. You know, I like watching it and really picking it apart with a few friends at someone's house, but I think I want to have the party vibe too.
I think you should do tonight because it's also snowbound.
Oh, right.
There's going to be a lot of leather daddies in town. I did it.
There was one... There was a gentleman here last night who was wearing his Provincetown Brewing Company rugby shirt. The Provincetown Brewing Company sponsored, I think, a Boston-based rugby team, and their jerseys are like pride flag inspired with the big brewery logo on the front. And I didn't know this man at all, but I got to use my favorite joke on him.
What?
He was standing at the bar, and I walked over, and I was like, "Ooh, nice top." And he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah." I was like, "Oh yeah, the shirt's cute too." You get it?
Yes.
Groans are all around.
Maybe we'll luck out and the rain will move from the afternoon to late at night and we'll see leather daddies scurrying out of the rain.
Oh, yeah. But don't ruin your leather.
Yeah, don't ruin.
Yeah. But there's I was told that we couldn't call it a pageant.
No, it's not a pageant.
Leather competition.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some really fun people doing it this year. I'm really excited. I also heard that, I think I could talk about this. Puppy Play and the kilt, Carlos, who makes the kilt, they're combining in this. They're sharing this puppy play space moving forward, and they're going to be. It's their first weekend together in that space in the Whalers Wharf. So go check it out.
Perfect weekend for it. Go say hi to Eric.
Why are
and
you
Carlos.
laughing at me?
I'm laughing at Sam.
Is Sam laughing at me?
I keep thinking Pat Gentleman, so why isn't it Pat Gents?
Ooh.
Oh.
Pat Gents.
Pa
I like that.
Gents. Hey, Pa.
But it's going to be a really fun weekend. There's also an event happening here on Saturday. The closing party for Leather Weekend is here on Sunday, just general beer blast vibes. Saturday, though, from 1 to 3, it's called, I think it's called Safe Kink, but they're doing binding demonstrations.
Here?
Yeah. It's hosted by Matt Acevedo, and there's a gentleman who's like, his thing is like roping, and he's going to be doing live demonstrations of like bondage here at the brewery, and he's going to be talking about how to do it safely, how to make sure people don't get hurt while you're doing that. And I'm that interesting.
Fun.
It's
and
free.
It's free.
1 to 3 right here. I'm sorry if am I double promoting Sam? Perfect.
Sam and Carmen are going to fill you in on all of that when we show you the Babes and Boys segment later.
Also, I guess I didn't really get into anything else I did last weekend. One of my favorite things I did last weekend was I made it to the Crown for Starcross, which is KT and Kristen's astrology-based dating show. And I didn't get to make the first few they did. I think they did it over Holly Folly and Women's Week, I think they also did. But I heard it was tons of fun, so I made sure to make it. And I couldn't stop smiling, couldn't stop laughing. So entertaining. KT and Kristen were incredible hosts. It was such a fun crew that they got pulled. So basically, when you buy your ticket, you have the option of submitting your astrology. So they do your full workup, I guess you would call it, which is you have to know the day you were born, the time you were born, and also the location in which you're born, where so they can do your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign. I don't really know the rest of it, but and then they pair you up with other people, and then it becomes a dating show. But they pair you up based on your astrology. So they do 3 couples. The first couple was Mackenzie and Chad, which they're besties. Of course, they're compatible. They really slayed. The final challenge is you have to karaoke together, and Chad and Mackenzie did such a great job.
Is it a competition?
Yeah, there is a winner, like the dating show.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There ends up being a winner.
And Chad and Mackenzie won.
No. And then there was another couple, these 2 women from out of town, and they were also besties, so compatible. But the third couple is what interested me the most.
Why?
So the first one to get called up, Mark Adams, local pillar of the community, utterly beloved. And then this gentleman named Paul. And I looked, when they got up together, I was like, that might work.
Really?
Yeah, they were really cute. They ended up winning.
Did they know each other beforehand?
No.
Star-crossed.
And they seemed like they were digging each other. It was really, really cute. The prize package was like tickets to 2 shows that weekend, coffee. It was kind of like anything you would want to do, like the weekend of meeting a person, like go see a show together, get coffee in the morning, wink, wink, go out to dinner. Like it was a really great prize package. And I heard that they spent some time there. I think it's really cute.
Mark Adams, who wrote the Naiad Review and Savoir Flair magazine.
Savoir Flair.
That Mark Adams, he's a movie reviewer on top of everything else. What can't that man do?
Paul's a lucky man. What a catch.
I know.
Yeah.
We wish you lots and lots of love,
Exactly.
you guys.
I think the next time it rolls around, I'm definitely going to sign up. It's fun.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, ever since what happened on Mary Harry, I would have thought you were done with dating game shows.
No.
You wouldn't let me reinstate Mary Harry?
I would absolutely not.
If you want a second edition of Mary Harry, please let us know in the comments.
Please. No, please don't do it.
And if you don't know what that was, this is like 3 years ago, I think, at this point.
I think it was our first February.
Valentine's Day 2021.
Yeah. We did like a Zoom dating show.
Yeah, back when everybody was Zooming all the time. There were 3 Bachelor contestants that were vying for Harry's love and a chance to marry Harry. Guess who married Harry?
Chris Becker.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. Like
what's the rooster character from Bugs Bunny? Like that's who she sounded like. She's doing like Southern Foghorn Leghorn. Thank you, Sam. She was doing like Southern Jen voice, and that's the Bachelor he picked. And I'm like, because we could see the screen, I'm like, if only he knew it was Kristen.
I literally thought it was
You thought it was the
I
guy
thought
who
it was
voiced
Foghorn Leghorn, and I was like, ooh. But definitely check it out next time. I'll keep you posted because I'm definitely going to make it there. And also one of my favorite things is they keep it really affordable. It's $10, which no shade to anyone charging $25, $35. But I love how it's approachable. Get as many people in the room. It just made it a really fun vibe. And I died laughing the entire time. Everyone who was on stage did such a good job of entertaining everyone. Yeah. Sunday, I woke up bright and early and I started driving to Philadelphia to visit all of our friend Benji. Benji's doing really good. I know I haven't done a little update about him. If you don't know, Benji has lived in Provincetown for I think about 5 years. He's a local artist. He did a few shows at Studio Lacombe. Good friend to everyone. You'll see his little art all over town.
He's currently a Winter Wednesday Winter Window at Cafe Heaven, right?
Mm-hmm. So you can see his posters of his work at Cafe Heaven. But I went down. It's the first time I've seen Benji since I think the beginning of December. And it's the first time where I went down where for some reason, the first 2 times I visited, I had really bad luck and they were all kind of like downturns for him in his treatment. He was diagnosed with brain cancer this past summer, and every time I had visited before, he was just like having a bad day, a bad week, starting new medicine, which I was happy to see him no matter what. It was really great this time to go. He's doing really well, which I'm happy to report. He is living in his own apartment, which I was there, I was like trying to help him do stuff, and he just was refusing. He's like, no, I can do it all, and I will do it all. But
clap.
Yeah.
Oh wait, he clap.
Yeah.
You said there was a hand that he had no use of.
Yeah, so that was actually a big eye-opening moment for me. He has one hand that he did lose use of, so he has to do everything with his left hand. It's his non-dominant hand, so all of the art he's creating is using his non-dominant hand, and it just was like so eye-opening to see the things you would never think of that you need to use two hands for. And I'm like, wow, that would be impossible. And he's just doing such a great job of maneuvering in the world. We went out to lunch. It was really cute. We watched movies. Yeah.
Aren't you going to show them some of his art?
If you want to support Benji, first of all, he's looking for design work. So if you have any design needs, I know he just did some design work for The Gathering. They're doing like a snack menu. He did the poster for that. There's another opportunity that I don't know if I could talk about yet that he got that I will keep you filled in once that goes live. And also, if you want to support him, you can go to his store. I think it's benwg.store.com. I'm not exactly sure, but if you go to his
something like that.
Yeah, if you go to his Instagram, meet_market, it's linked in his account. This is what I recently got. I got a t-shirt in addition to this, but I just knew I had to get this to take to tea. I wear really tight shorts in the summer, so I can't put phone, wallet, keys in my pockets, so I like a little bag. This is so cute. I think it was $50, and I expect it to be not great quality because $50, and it's cute.
This is very cute.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff you can get on his store. Mugs, t-shirts, greeting cards, shoulder bags. There's so much. I got a t-shirt with one of his little ghost drawings on it, and this bag. Yeah,
adorable.
I know, so cute. I'm so excited to wear it to tea this summer. But definitely support him. I miss him being in P-Town, but I was so nice going out to visit him.
Benji, if you're watching, we love you. We miss you. We're glad you're doing well.
Yeah. I think that's all I did this week. Actually, last week I talked a lot, as we do. But one of the things I talked about was how I didn't think as much as I don't think Taylor Swift is bad in any way. I don't think she's exceptional, and shouldn't exactly be as lauded and celebrated as she is. She should be celebrated. She's amazing, but the absolute best, better than anyone. I guess I just don't like when there's thousands of people really making incredible music, deciding to put one on a pedestal.
You're belaboring the point. I was going to encourage you not to bring her up because it brought out the hater in you last week. We don't need any more haterade, whatever Mary J. Blige called all this bullshit. We don't need any more of it on this morning show. Happy morning show, happy, not hater, happy.
Yeah, but I did promise a playlist, and I'm not saying that any of these artists are better than Taylor Swift, but I think every one of these artists is deserving of recognition when it comes to being celebrated, awarded, Grammys. And this is what I mean. Like, I put together, I think it's it's between 40 and 50 songs. It's all artists that are lesbians, queer women, trans women. I came up with 50 songs, all by queer women, that I think deserve to be as celebrated as Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Almost every track was written by the artist who performs it. The poetry of the lyrics is beautiful. The production is amazing. It's just all really amazing music. It's all from the past few years. Except for a couple songs, I did include a few songs from Tegan and Sarah's The Con, which I think came out in 2006, 2007. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, and it really means a lot to me because it played an integral role in me coming out as a queer person. Yeah, really beautiful album.
What's the playlist called?
It's called Hey Mamas, which is my new favorite. Do you know how the gays have like bears and otters and daddies, and obviously queer women have those same kind of slang terms to put everyone in their little category. And a new one that TikTok has created is Hey Mamas. And I love that. So I just stupidly titled it Hey Mamas. But there are a few artists on it who have been nominated for Grammys. So obviously, I'm not saying that all of these people are entirely uncelebrated. And one of the artists that recently won a Grammy that I did include on the list is Boy Genius. Boy Genius is a super group made up of lesbians, queer women, and non-binary people. And it's 3 artists. I'm going to blank on their names, so I'm not going to try. Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julian?
The band broke up?
They did break up, but I heard it was like, this was our plan. We were going to get together, because they were all solo artists before. The 3 of them wanted to get together and make one album. It did win, I think, Best Rock Album or Best Rock Performance.
They won like 3 Grammys that night, I think.
Yeah,
3 or 4.
Which is huge and monumental.
Does this mean Girl Stupid is breaking up too?
This is one of the reasons why I brought... I did make a joke about how Mews and Todd last week were a girl group, and the girl group's name was Girl Stupid.
Shouldn't it be Girl Idiot?
Maybe.
Is genius a noun or an adjective in Boy Genius?
Noun.
Then it should be girl idiot.
I guess you're right. But that was that was the play on words. I know a few watchers found that phrasing to be offensive, but it was this play on words that these queer women and binary people put together a band called Boy Genius, and these 3 gay men and non-binary people are making a girl group that is the opposite.
Right.
That was all it was. There was no malice in it or anything like that.
If that wasn't clear, Harrison offers his most sincerest, deepest apologies.
Yeah. The playlist is on Spotify. It's a lot of fun. And it's some of my favorite songs. Some really incredible stuff on there.
Yeah, give it a spin.
Yeah. And I guess like I'm a person who is constantly looking for new music, trying to expand my bounds, listen to people that aren't on the radio and aren't pushed in this massive way, like Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Obviously, I love them and listen to them, but
If you say one more bad thing about Beyonce, Ethan's gonna jump.
I would never
behind
say
the camera.
anything bad about Beyonce. I live
Beat
for
him with the
Beyonce.
tripod. Just beat him with the
No,
tripod.
I love Beyonce. Yeah.
Number one, the first Black solo female artist, the first Black woman at all, I think, to be number 1 on Billboard's country chart.
Work.
And the highest single debut of her career. She debuted at number 2 on the Hot 100
Work. We love that
with
for
Texas
her.
Hold'em. Go ahead.
The link to the playlist is in the bio of our YouTube video and our Facebook video. I'm also going to share it on Instagram. Fun. Hit like, follow it, put it on. I think it's a 2-hour playlist. And celebrate queer women.
But also back to celebrating Beyonce. This is just a little secret for you guys. You know, Kaya's like mapping out her show for the summer. And she, I think, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
She put it on Facebook.
She's been putting it on social media, but Kaya wants to do like a Beyonce themed show. And now that Beyonce's like leaning into all of this country stuff, Kaya's like, should some of this be country too? And we're like, yes, please.
Well, she offered up 2 titles, one of which was, I think, Who Run the World, a tribute to the Queen. And then the other one, I can't remember, but it was like a tribute to Black excellence. And I like that. I know a lot of people were like, I like the second one better. And I think so too, because the first one you could probably only do Beyonce.
Right.
Where the second one, you could do Beyonce and other amazing Black female artists. So that's just my vote. Get some Nina Simone in there. Get some, amazing.
My vote is put the Kaya spin on some country songs. That would be awesome.
Yes,
I
please.
can't
Put the
wait.
Kaya spin on every song.
I know. Put the Kaya spin on my life.
Yeah.
It's like take a wand, cast a spell.
Yeah. I think all I have left is news. Let me just double check. Yeah. Do you want to we'll head over to Babes and Boys. We'll find everything out that's going on this week. We'll come back with a couple news stories for you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Oh, are we still on?
Yeah.
Oh, were we on that whole time? Work. Sam is working on getting that video up for you. Do you have anything else to
You
talk
guys,
about?
low tide today is at 5:02. So if you were contemplating going clamming, hopefully the rain will be over by then. But if not, that's a couple of hours before sunset. So you'll have some light to do your clamming in. Last night, I used the clams from last weekend and made vongole. Vongole.
What is that?
It's linguine and clams.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know vongole?
I don't know that word. I know clams and linguine.
What do you get when you go to Sal's?
Chicken carbonara.
Oh, of course.
Duh.
I alternate the chicken carbonara and the vongole.
I'm not a big seafood pasta person.
Okay, you can talk shit on Beyonce all you want. If you talk shit on seafood pasta, now we have a problem.
Yeah.
Ethan's like, no.
Yeah. Anything. I just think with pasta.
Thank you. Did you hear that? Oh, something else I did this week. I made 2 soups. I made some tomato basil soup and some chicken noodle from scratch. It was the scratch part, Carmen. I brought some to Sam.
You made the
Carmen.
noodles from scratch?
No.
Oh.
Knucklehead. You have to buy the egg noodles. Well, I mean, I guess you could make noodles. I don't have a noodle maker. Is it a noodle maker? A pasta maker?
I think you're the noodle maker when you make noodles.
I'm the noodle maker.
Yeah,
no, but it came out really good. It's the broth was from scratch, the stock.
Oh, wow.
It came out really good. Are we still vamping?
Yeah. I think I'm just going to talk about your opinions on seafood pasta. I hate when I get pasta and there are tails in it.
Oh, I do too.
I don't want to have to put my fingers in a pasta.
No, I get that.
Yeah. And I guess same thing with clams.
Whenever I make a seafood pasta or a seafood stew, I take the very tail of the shrimp off.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want the person to have to do any work.
I love when people are like, "Do you have to peel the shrimp?" Like, no, they're already peeled. I'm like, I'm like, you really wanted to do that work?
But I delivered these 2 soups to Sam and Carmen because the soup swap that I heard tell about, and I was like, I want to be involved in this. I want to swap soup.
Is it this Tuesday?
The next one's gonna be March TBD. Stay tuned.
March TBD, soup swap and Stitch and Bitch.
Stitch and Bitch. It'll be on a Tuesday, probably. Yeah, Tuesday here at the brewery. Soup swap. Make your soups. Come in. Swap it with other soups.
So wait, when you bring your soup, do you like parcel it out, or do you bring a whole thing? And
I actually just had it like hot months ago, so you're eating it.
Oh, you just eat soup.
Oh, amazing.
You
Oh,
know I
I'm
love soup.
swapping some
We
soup.
also have something planned for St. Patty's Day.
Ooh, St. Patty's.
Ooh, when is St. Patrick's Day?
That's
March.
March 17th.
March
Sunday.
17th.
And I'm full Irish. So.
Yay!
We have a full
Full Irish.
Ooh, we're gonna get the full Sam Soul experience on
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day
I'm a
this
quarter
year.
Irish. You can tell by my red beard.
I'm half. You can tell by my drinking problem.
And your red beard.
Oh, and my red beard.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, we've got babes and boys coming at you.
Roundup with Sam from Babes and Boys. It's a pack weekend. Let's get started. We have Snowbound Leather Weekend from Mates Leather Weekend. Head on over to matesleatherweekend.com for all the info. There's live dancing, there's brunches, there's events. Check it out. Also, the Friday night flowchart, as always, is happening. This is what's happening on the Friday night. RuPaul Drag Race, old RuPaul Drag Race, new. Brittany and Clint and Hillary singing. And so on Friday, we have the Falk Fellow Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. over at the Fine Arts Work Center. Go and check the reception and the readings. And at the Water's Edge Cinema, they'll be playing some Oscar-nominated live-action shorts starting on Friday, running all weekend. These ones are Friday and Sunday. And then over at the Crown and Anchor, there's the Whiteout Dance Party on Friday from 9:30 p.m. And all weekend, Nice Hog over at the Crown and Anchor. Check it out if you haven't done it yet. Then we have King, an educational free workshop over at the Provincetown Brewing Company as part of Mates Leather Weekend. And over at the library, they're featuring Nicole Cremier with Harvest Highlight, the Piedmont-inspired cooking. Yum, that sounds great. And happy full moon, y'all. On Saturday, the full moon, Yoga Joints offering a full moon yoga class. Then also, there Oscar-nominated animation shorts over at Water's Edge Cinema playing starting on Saturday. It's a whole weekend of nominated shorts, y'all. And to round out Saturday, The Mosquito is happening at 7 p.m. over at the Provincetown Theater. Sign on up, tell your story. It's not me, it's you. On Sunday, they're also showing the documentary shorts. These are the listings. Go and check that out over at the Water's Edge Cinema. That brings us to Monday. Monday at the Governor Bradford is Noodle Night. Have you checked out their noodles? I hear the Bang Bang sauce is delicious. It's not a thing to be missed. Next up on Tuesday, Crohn's Trivia. This is at Bayside Betsy's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. It's a really good time. There are really hard questions. So if you want to get your trivia on, head on over to Bayside Betsy's. On Wednesday, did you know the Atlantic Spice does weekly tea tastings from 10 to 2? I didn't. I'm going to go check that out. Also, Bingo at A House is a tried and true classic happening every Wednesday. It's so much fun. Check that out. And last but not least, it's a leap day this Thursday, so enjoy that extra day. There's Cards Against Humanity with Lux Liaison at the Governor Bradford, and also I hear Harrison's going to have a very special guest this week for Go Fish Trivia. It's me. We'll see you out there. If you didn't see anything that you wanted to see on this list, please feel free to email babesandboys@gmail.com. We'd be happy to list anything you want. This is Sam from Babes and Boys with the Wake Up Weekly Roundup for the weeks of the 23rd through the 29th. Have a great week, y'all.
Thank you, Babes and Boys. Oh, one more thing to do this weekend. I went to the PAM yesterday in the middle of the afternoon. They have 5 exhibits up. One is self-portraits. It's from their permanent collection. And like one is Henry Henchy. They have a lot of really remarkable self-portraits. My other favorite exhibit at the PAM yesterday was the Visual Fellows from the Fine Arts Work Center. You need to go into the PAM and check out everything they're doing right now. It's always a good time of the year to go into the PAM and see what they've got going on.
Yeah, and also I guess I'll plug something of my own. It's coming up soon, or not soon, next month. But I am going to be the special guest for we're going to be doing a live showing of the Oscars right here at the brewery. It's hosted by Racine Oxtoby and Tadana. You'll remember Tadana, my glamorous co-host that filled in for Bob, oh my God, 2 months ago. But I'm going to be there as a special guest doing a little performance. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's at 6 o'clock, the night of the Oscars.
March 10th.
Yeah. Todd is one of our resident filmmaker extraordinaires, so I'm sure he'll have opinions.
Yes. Tadana.
Yeah, exactly.
She's going to be Tadana, right?
Of course, yeah.
I'm seeing white gown, Marilyn Monroe hair.
And when I say I'll be the special guest, I mean local honey.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Okay, we have a few news stories. This one is fairly sad. So this past week, a 16-year-old non-binary teenager from Owasso High School named Benedict. So there was a situation where they were in the restroom with a friend and they got into a physical altercation with 3 girls that were also in the restroom. Nex was beaten so badly that they were unable to walk by themselves to the nurse's office after. They had to be helped along to the nurse's office. And Nex's friend, who was in the restroom with them, said that one of the girls was repeatedly bashing their head onto the floor of the restroom. They were brought to the nurse along with all the other parties involved in the fight. They were all given a preliminary check by the registered nurse, who is the school nurse. Police were not called, an ambulance was not called, and the next day, Nex collapsed in their home and had to go to the hospital, where they passed away in the hospital. As a person who went to high school as a queer person, it's often not a safe environment to be in. Nex was suspended for 2 weeks for the fight. And I don't necessarily I think the fight was incited because Nex was being bullied and Nex decided to fight back. So I'm not saying it was entirely unprovoked, but Nex had been complaining about being bullied for weeks. And I know my high school experience, the ways in which I was bullied was not taken seriously by administration or teachers. And especially when queer people are bullied, I feel like it is often swept under the rug. The crazy part about this is that the police have made a statement that said the initial medical report says that they're saying that the fight the day before did not contribute to Nex's death the next day. They're not offering any other explanation of why Nex died. And I just find that to be highly unlikely.
It's absurd.
Yeah. They are going to release a full medical report and a full autopsy, hopefully. There are outreach organizations calling for a federal investigation into this, which I think is very important. And I fear that it is another example of people committing heinous crimes. Like, you look back at the Brock Turner case, he committed an absolutely heinous crime, and the judicial system went soft on them because they didn't want to destroy his life. And I really don't like that kind of mentality. Like, when people commit heinous crimes and when they take away people's lives or assault someone in a really horrific way, you're victimizing them and taking away their life or the quality of their life, because after you're assaulted, it's your world changes. Mm-hmm. And I think
ends.
Yeah, and I think the punishment should be the crime, but obviously we will stay tuned for more updates, and I hope that there is a thorough investigation into the situation. Yeah. Other not great news. So there was a case recently in Alabama where apparently a patient was in an IVF clinic and messed with some sort of refrigeration system and ended up destroying the fertilized embryos of another patient. That patient then sued that person as well as the IVF clinic. And in a very scary ruling, the judge ruled that those fertilized embryos should be treated as children. Obviously, this has implications with abortion rights, reproductive rights, but its immediate consequences is basically all IVF clinics in the state of Alabama shut down, because I don't know if everyone knows how IVF typically works. I'm not thoroughly versed in it, but the general idea is that they take eggs, fertilize a multitude of them, then pick out the ones that are most viable to be implanted, and then see how many of them are implanted successfully. And then oftentimes they will remove some of them. The infamous case of a patient denying to have any of them removed is Nadia Suleiman, who was colloquially, like pop culturally known as the Octomom, because she was implanted with 8 embryos and all of them took. And typically they'd be like, okay, let's remove some of them. And she was like, no, these are all my babies, which I guess was her right. But it obviously created a lot of questions in the IVF community. But then, so basically, because of this ruling, the embryos are children, doctors are afraid that they will be convicted of murder for removing those embryos, considering fertilized embryos not viable. So this just raises a lot of questions about IVF. So it's come to a complete halt in the state of Alabama, which is really scary for people that have reproductive issues and trouble conceiving children. So it's scary.
It was another patient that did this?
I think so. That's what I read.
Like she wandered into the back and she thought it was the fridge with the tiny cans of Sprite, but it was where all the embryos are stored, and she knocked it over. I mean, like, how does that happen?
Obviously I don't think that's exactly what happened, but I think that is like they were where they weren't supposed to be.
I thought this was Sprite.
Oh my God. You're the worst. But obviously stay tuned to this case. It's going to have national implications, and I imagine it will be a case that goes to the Supreme Court.
Probably.
Yeah. Do you have a story?
I have a rant. I promised you guys a rant last weekend, but then I forgot because we were talking about so many different things. You're not going to believe this. Okay, so this is what I meant to tell everybody. When Peter and I took our trip to South America a couple of weeks ago, we checked in for a Friday 6 p.m. flight at 3 p.m. We checked in, we checked our bags, we had boarding passes in our hands. We're waiting in the lounge. We asked this woman who was working the front desk, we're like, hey, we want to inquire about an upgrade. She was like, I don't do that, call this number. We call this number, and the guy goes, yeah, you still actually owe some money on your tickets that you haven't paid yet. And we're like, what? And we show our ticket to the woman, and she scans it, and she's like, oh, this trip has been canceled. You just did it yourself on the website. And we're like, what? We're waiting to board the plane. We didn't do that. She's like, on my side, it looks like you guys canceled it yourself. And the guy on the phone accidentally canceled our whole trip.
Oh my God.
And then we're like talking to these people, and I was like, we better get over to the gate so they don't fly off with our bags. We run over to the gate, we show them our boarding passes, and they're like, these aren't valid. This trip was just canceled on the website. Looks like you did it. And I was like, if one more person says we canceled our own trip while waiting in the multiple people gaslighting us. This is American Airlines, by the way, that I'm talking about.
Oh wow.
This is a very David and Goliath story, by the way, and it is not over.
Get your slingshot.
I am still fighting with these people. So they don't let us on the plane. They're like, they try to rebook it, but they've already given our seats away. And then they're like, you know what, we're going to put you up at the Hilton by the Boston airport, and here are some $12 food vouchers for your troubles.
$12?
$12 whole dollars. Those coupons, those food stamps expired in 24 hours, by the way. They're like, use this before tomorrow. Sorry, the airport's closing in an hour. And I was like, remember those 2 gays who were caught screaming about American Airlines, where they were like, Dolly Levi, not Dolly Levi, Dolly and Shelby. Yeah,
that was about to be you and Peter.
I was this close to like raising my voice. I'm like, they're gaslighting you into behaving badly so that somebody will record you and put a video of you online looking like an idiot, looking like the problem, when really it was American Airlines.
And as much as I would never suggest acting like this to men, I get it.
I totally got it. When this was happening to me, I was like, now, I mean, they were wasted. I think they were super drunk when they were screaming like that.
Were you not?
No. I was in the lounge eating clam chowder when Peter was like, they just canceled our whole trip on the phone. And I was like, what? How? So our whole trip was delayed by 24 hours. Meanwhile, I'm like emailing with American Airlines being like, you guys really screwed up. And they were like, we're sorry about the confusion that you had. And I'm like, I was not confused,
Never,
baby.
not once.
No, there was no confusion. You canceled my whole trip. You didn't let me fly. You delayed us a day and then downgraded us. The flight from Miami to Rio was like 9 hours. Like, you know, we paid to not sit in the back with the screaming babies. The only seats available the next day were in the way back.
Bob likes to be the only screaming baby on his plane.
Any plane in life. No, so like they ruined a large part of the beginning of the trip. Oof. And now, while we were there, we were like, you not only do you owe us for what you did, but you owe us for downgrading us on the longest flight. And they were like, you're going to have to handle that after you get back. We're going to wait for the whole trip to be over before we address that. They sent me an email yesterday that said, we're not going to offer you any sort of refund because according to our records, you flew in the class that you paid for. And I'm like, that is untrue.
Wow.
Like the gaslighting first, and now you're lying about where I sat on the plane? I still have the boarding passes, American Airlines. If you have a terrible story involving American Airlines, email me, text me, call me. I mean, let's get this class action lawsuit going. These people are going to pay.
I love this. Yeah.
That's all.
I can't wait for updates.
Oh, yeah. It's not over. I mean, I had to get NBC 10 involved. You know how they do that consumer advocacy? I'm going to be on the Boston News talking about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
I told them, I was like, do you guys just want to fix it? Or do you want me to like keep going? And they were like, we don't think we owe you anything. And I was like, watch this, American Airlines.
You're like, I'm a micro influencer. Everyone in Provincetown listens to me.
Micro.
Exactly, the microist. I blame Pete Buttigieg. I'm just kidding. He is the transportation secretary, and I would love for him to address consumer relationships with airports.
It's the worst. The only fun thing about traveling anymore is when you're on the plane and they say that it's okay to save yourself first. When they're like, put the mask on, then help. And I'm like, yes.
Okay, let's talk to Ron Robin.
Oh yeah.
Check this out. Sorry, that was the worst intro.
Nice segue.
Good morning, everybody. I'm in the space most recently known as Spindler's Restaurant in the Waterford Inn with Ron Robin, who has some exciting news for us. Ron, thanks for taking some time to come talk to us.
Oh, this is great. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
What am I doing?
What's happening at the Mews? What's going on?
Oh my goodness. Well, every few years we try to freshen things up a little bit. So we freshed ourselves into a tizzy, and some things need to be done before some other things could be done, and then other things added to that. So there's a lot of things that had to get done. So it's going to take a lot longer than we anticipated, but at least whatever we do is going to be done properly.
And I mean, this is sort of dovetailing at a good time for the people that just bought this place, I think, because I don't think they knew what they were going to do with the restaurant space this summer until you decided to move in for a little while.
Yeah, we met the owners in Newton and had a very pleasant discussion, and they were looking for someone to be here for years and years. Well, we've already got a years and years place, so can we do a few months or whatever? So we'll be here through the summer and at least for a year, and then we'll go back home.
Everybody knows of the Mews as where you are now. There was one previous Mews location near the Harbor Lounge.
Yeah,
right?
359.
359. How long have you been at that one?
Since 1993.
Since 93. So this is your first move in 31 years.
Oh yeah, that.
When you come into a space that's sort of unfamiliar, like where did you start? Like how did you musify it?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what we tried to do, is to make a blank space hint of the Mews. I mean, it can't be the Mews. The dining room is smaller, the kitchen is smaller, the menu will have elements of the original Mews at 429. So that's what we did. We brought over artwork, we brought over our chairs, and things that look familiar from a Mews standpoint. There's still a few things up in the attic at the Mews at 429 that I've yet to find that I can't wait to bring down here because they're from the original from 1964.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so kind of nice. But I haven't found them yet. They're up there.
All of your staff is coming over with you.
They're in the attic as well. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Our staff, I love our staff, and they have been active here. They have just come over here. They're cleaning, they're sweeping, they're building, they're banging, they're doing stuff to keep us going. And it's just such a great community endeavor. Very excited.
And before I ask you what you're most excited about, I, of course, have never sat outside at the Mews, but this summer we're going to get to sit upstairs outside, right?
Yes.
That's like super exciting to me.
Yeah, the deck upstairs for the summertime, we'll adjust our hours and figure out, there's a lot of stuff we've got to figure out because more than half of the capacity is outside here at this location. And that's kind of fun. Yeah.
When do you think you might open?
Well, okay. Well, that's a question that we've gone around and around with for quite a bit. But we have come up with a date of March 1st. And so we are planning on that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, well, neither can I sort of. I mean, it's, the days keep getting shorter and shorter until the time comes. And we realize there is lots to be done here as well, as things are going on there. So it's here and there. But I'm ADD, well, now ADHD, I forgot what the H stands for, but whatever it is, that's me. And so I thrive on confusion, and so I've been thriving.
Well, you got a couple of weeks before you open, but everyone's really excited for you. You guys got to get in here starting March 1st at the Spindlers location. It's a Mews pop-up for 2024. Can't wait to come and see you here. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Of course. We'll see you guys soon.
Guys, the Mews is opening up on March 1st. Everybody get in there. I know, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Please welcome Sophie Mann-Shafir. She is a staff reporter at the Provincetown Independent and a Truro resident.
Actually, a Provincetown resident.
Oh, no way.
I cover Truro.
Oh,
so.
Truro's her beat.
Your LinkedIn said you were Truro-based or something.
Professionally, I'm Truro-based.
Perfect.
Welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
Thanks for making some time to be here.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been the reporter who's been covering, we all know what I call it, but obviously you're not going to call it that.
Wait, what do you call it?
The Truro Part-Time Resident Taxpayers Association voter fraud scandal. But
that's a mouthful.
Yeah. But there were a lot of questions raised over the past few months about what it means to be a resident, how that affects your voting rights, what it means to have a voice in local politics, and how that all relates. Give us a little rundown.
Yeah. So basically, in the fall, an email surfaced that had been circulated among the board of the Part-Time Resident Taxpayers Association in Truro that revealed this kind of under the radar, to use the words of the email, campaign encouraging part-timers to register to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that if you have a house in Truro, it's your choice whether you vote there, that if it works for your life, you can vote there, that if you want to split where you vote with your spouse for tax reasons, that's fine. And so in consulting state voting rights experts, specifically a man named David Sullivan, who was one of the first people to draft the state manual on residence for voting purposes, we learned that that's not how voting works, that there are actually really specific criteria that dictate where you're allowed to vote. And there are many factors that contribute to where you're domiciled, where you can vote, and I can get more into that later, but the manual is very explicit that where you're allowed to vote is an objective fact and not a subjective choice.
Interesting.
What are some of the criteria to determine where you were supposed to vote?
Yeah, so those came up in a series of voter hearings in front of the Board of Registrars, and they range from where your kid goes to school, what memberships you have at gyms and clubs, what state is on your driver's license, where your vehicles are registered, to more weighty factors like whether you claim a residential tax exemption in another town. And so basically after this email surfaced, a resident in Truro filed 66 challenges to voter registrations. And we at the independent analysis of the Truro voter roll and learned that since between April when town meeting took place and October, which was the deadline to register to vote for special town meeting, 173 new people had registered to vote.
It's a lot for a town the size of Truro.
Exactly. 119 of those had happened since the TPRTA voted to sort of launch this voter registration campaign. And more than half of those registered with out-of-town mailing addresses, which is another, indicator about where a person lives. Although it's not decisive, there's no decisive, fact that no single piece of evidence determines where a person lives, but it was telling. And so there was this series of voter registration hearings.
Is the issue that has the TPRTA trying to get more people like-minded to part-time residents registered? Like, what is the issue that is contentious?
So there are a few that the TPRTA and other sort of citizen groups have been mobilizing around. One of them is, two of them are specific articles on the special town meeting warrant. One is the Walsh property article, which doesn't actually lay out a specific plan so much as it would be a non-binding resolution to approve a series of 18 recommendations that were recommended by the Walsh Property Community Planning Committee, which met for a couple of years. And it's basically, it would lay the groundwork for future housing development on the Walsh property, affordable housing development. And then there's also the issue of the DPW facility being upgraded, which is a really big ticket item. The estimate right now is that it would cost close to $35 million.
Wow.
And that's a borrowing article, and it would, wood taxes. So that's one of the issues. And then largely, there just seemed to be a kind of significant mistrust of local government. So it was that, I think, related to those two articles, both of which are town-sponsored. And then also was about the process by which these town meeting was then delayed after all of these challenges to voter registrations were submitted and sworn on, affidavits. And there was a lot of mistrust as to whether the town was within its right in postponing the meeting, and there were claims, really dramatic claims of voter suppression and voter intimidation, which, we all take really seriously, and we should. That's a dramatic claim, but in sort of scrutinizing that process, which was my job as a journalist there, it seemed that voter integrity was really protected at every turn, and that the process for challenging a voter registration exists to make sure that people are only voting where they should be. And in consulting the elections expert, David Sullivan, he was pretty adamant about the fact that the threat to voter integrity is people voting where they shouldn't vote, and thus diluting the democratic voice of people who should vote there and can vote there.
So let's say we're a couple in Cambridge and we have a house in Truro, and one of us is registered in Truro and one of us is not. That's not actually allowed.
I mean, even that depends. If one of you still has a job in Cambridge and has to be there all the time, and the other, if you're like half long distance, then it's fine. But these hearings were really interesting because the registrars had to sort of weigh a slew of different factors, and in a lot of cases they were pretty lenient or gave a lot of leeway to registered voter. They just sided with upheld registrations, even for a couple of people who claim a residential tax exemption in another town. And, in those cases, they sort of gave credence to the idea that they were in transition and in the process of moving to Truro, and that step of no longer taking a tax exemption in another town hadn't happened yet, but that it would.
So there was a lot of, so you're saying that they were fairly lenient in allowing people to be registered, and yet there was still a lot of voter rolls that did get turned, correct?
Yeah, so there were 66 voter registrations that were challenged. 21 of those people switched their own registrations out of Truro. voluntarily, either because they hadn't realized what they were doing was wrong, or for a variety of reasons.
Believed that email saying you can do it, it's fully allowed, kind
under
of thing.
the radar.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I talked to a few people who really were under that impression.
Right.
One person had been switching his registration back and forth for years.
Wow.
But
That it was okay, probably.
yeah, I think he totally was totally open about it. Anyway, so the registrars held, I believe, 28 hearings, and they went exactly 50-50 at first. But most of the registrations that they revoked or ruled against were people who didn't show up to their hearings, which they were allowed to weigh in the hearing.
But they were probably home where they actually are supposed to be voting. So they didn't come to Truro to challenge it.
Yeah.
As money and real estate really is exploding on the Outer Cape, there's a lot of new influences we're having on the voting process. Even this past spring, right here in Provincetown, there was non-Massachusetts-based numbers texting all of us to vote one way or another. What are the rules around organizations like the PRT and other organizations kind of having influence on elections?
Yeah, so that's kind of being decided right now.
Oh, wow.
It's in flux in a certain way, just the way that lobbying can happen. There were there's another group called Take Back Truro that had a kind of significant presence there in the whole. It just was doing a lot of advocacy around certain articles.
Was that the Keep Truro
rural?
Did you see those signs?
Yeah,
that's those people.
Yes.
So their goal is to kind of they don't want housing built, they want it to stay really rural.
Keep it rural.
Mm-hmm, they have several, and they have issues with the town manager. But one of the things that was new at this town meeting and will be new when the town meeting actually happens in May is that groups that want to bring flyers or leaflets in advocating for a certain article or telling people to vote a certain way, they have to include their name and contact information on the forms, just to sort of add a layer of transparency that's new.
So you're not going to be getting a 917 text message being like, vote this way, which I thought was so strange when that was coming to us last spring.
Yeah.
This is all kind of new, and it's like, how do we handle this?
How are they moving forward? Did I just read that they might be splitting the town meeting into 2 separate votes?
Yeah, so this special town meeting was supposed to happen in October. It was postponed 4 times and is now happening on May 4th.
My understanding from one of them is that there were just too many people to even fit in the building.
That's exactly what happened the last time. So it was literally a capacity issue.
They set the record for largest turnout for a town meeting on the Outer Cape, which was just previously
more than us.
Which the previous record was us this past spring.
Yeah, and it was close to double.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is the population of Truro? What is the voting population?
It's just over 2,000.
Like us, and yet they doubled.
We have 400 or 500, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's bigger here. Yeah.
That's crazy that they would double the size of our town. I mean, on the plus side, civic engagement seems to be up.
I was going to say, I think that's the one positive thing to take from all this is that Truro is really low apathy now.
I love the way you put that.
I just feel like the way the pandemic has changed our demographic, people have different priorities. I feel like, and I was honestly shocked when the housing articles in Provincetown, I was like, I fully thought everyone was like, yay, housing, let's have more equitable community. Let's make sure there's a balance between year-round rentals and short-term rentals. And I was honestly shocked that so many people were against it. And I guess I'm making generalizations, but I do feel like it's because of the influx in people who work from home who now own property here. Because I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect with them and how the town operates, I guess. And I think that's what's causing a lot of this friction, is kind of a new demographic coming to town.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like as all of this has gone down in Truro, people have wondered whether this is a Truro specific issue. And we actually know from a couple of sources that the lawyers who advised, most of the challenged registrants have been meeting with part-timers or have met with part-timers from other towns on the Cape, including Provincetown.
The same lawyers.
Mm-hmm. And then also relating to what you just said, we went back a little bit in our analysis of voter rolls and found that Truro's voting population has increased by 62% since 2018.
What?
And that number is only like 9 and 10% in Wellfleet and Eastham, and in P-Town it's 18%.
Interesting.
So there's,
It's only 18% here. I would have thought that was higher. 62 sounds very big.
I mean, but also Truro's so small.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty shocking.
That's
Wow.
shocking.
Yeah.
So we do have to be worried about this kind of stuff here even more than we thought, maybe.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a process happening to prevent this in the future?
I mean, I think if anything, this process has sort of calcified in Truro. Like there's a town clerk who's really on it, and she's on the board of registrars. And the reason that the meeting was postponed so many times was to protect clean voter rolls. And so now when it happens in May, they are splitting. It seems that they're going to hold special town meeting on one day, which is kind of interesting because the articles are all from 5 months ago.
Yeah.
So several of them are no longer relevant, but it was frozen. And then annual town meeting is likely to happen the next day. And both will be outside because they're saying that they want space for upwards of 1,000 people.
Wow.
Like they don't have a space in Truro.
Right.
I know there was even talk about moving it to Provincetown because we had a larger space.
We don't have 1,000 seats.
No.
Even town hall is not that
No,
big.
they're going to do it outside.
The past special town meeting was right around when this was happening in Truro, but here in Provincetown, the moderator at the beginning was like, and thank everyone for registering in the proper way. And I was like, did we check? Are we sure? And I guess it seems like it's on the citizens to these challenges forward to be diligent, because that's the way it went down in Truro, correct?
Yeah, so there's this within the state, if you register to vote in a certain place, your registration in another town in Massachusetts is automatically nullified.
Okay.
But out of state, it's actually possible. I think this happened in Truro a couple of times for people to accidentally be registered in two towns.
Like if they spent their winter in Florida and they were registered there, they might have been able to be registered here and them not cancel each other out because there's no conversation between those two.
Yeah, so it's on some combination of, citizens to be vigilant and town administrators and officials to sort of comb through voter roll now and then. But I think most voter rolls, if you scrutinize them really closely, would probably have some things that shouldn't be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you said that it was a Truro voter who challenged 66 of the registrations. Is that person like in government, or they're just like a totally regular person who was like, something's fishy?
That's actually part of the mistrust that or one of the sort of symptoms of the mistrust is that people think that this was a town-sponsored effort, and actually he's just a private citizen who,
wanted it to be fair.
Yeah, looked at the voter rolls and I talked to him, and he saw something fishy and filed these challenges. And even, had evidence attached to it. There were exhibits having to do with mailing address, residential tax exemptions, other Googleable things.
Yeah, I think he said, I think he only submitted ones where he could find 3 areas of infraction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's right. And since then, people have challenged. There are actually 3 hearings that have yet to take place. So they'll happen in the next couple of weeks before annual town meeting. Another crazy thing is that the 2 meetings that are going to be held on back-to-back days most likely have 2 separate voter rolls. So there are going to be some people who can vote in one but not both.
Interesting. Because the special town meeting, you will have to have been registered by October?
By October 11th.
And all the new
deadline
ones,
is frozen. Yeah.
And all the new ones that have happened since will be allowed to vote in regular town meeting.
Exactly.
Wow.
You thought Provincetown was dramatic.
The Outer Cave. We're all one and the same. Thank you so much for all the work you do covering this story. It's so important. to the entire Outer Cape, all the Truro residents, and also Provincetown residents. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of
And
course.
it's evident that you really enjoy your job, which I think helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't have a subscription to the Provincetown Independent, get one now. It wins countless awards at the media awards that happen in New England. It is truly incredible journalism.
In-depth investigative pieces.
Yeah.
Serious work over here.
Yeah. How can they donate to the local journalism project?
Online.
Online.
Go to our website.
Yeah. Go to the website. Get a subscription. It's the best newspaper on the Cape.
And like we always say, get a subscription for somebody else as a birthday present or a Christmas present. Or
stay connected.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching today. Thank you to our sponsors, the Crown and Anchor, the Provincetown Brewing Company, Provincetown Business Guild, Shipwreck at the Brass Key, and also the Boat Slip.
We'll see you guys next Friday. And thank you for waking up in Provincetown.
Wherever you are.
We'll see
See
you
you
soon.
soon.
Good morning, everybody. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. In Provincetown.